There is a weight on your chest, and you've convinced yourself it means stop. But I tell you this, if you stop now, you will never know how close you were. You will never hear the applause that was waiting just one more step ahead. You will never hold the prize that only belongs to those who outlast their breaking point. I speak now to the man on the edge, the man who has tasted defeat more times than he has tasted reward, the one whose strength feels spent, whose dream feels distant, whose mind whispers daily, "Perhaps this was not meant for me." But I warn you, if you drift through this message, you will miss the lifeline. You will miss the secret men like Ford, Edison, Lincoln, and Barnes held close. They all faced the cliff. They all heard the voice of surrender, and they all chose to keep going. This is not a speech. It is a resurrection, a revival. If you grasp what I say and obey it in full, you will no longer ask for strength. You will walk in it. This moment will not break you. It will build you. And when it is done, you will not thank the easy days. You will thank the pain, for it showed you who you are. Don't you dare quit now. Not here, not now, not when greatness watches. You must understand this. Pain is not the sign of your downfall. It is the seal of your preparation. If you are feeling the weight, the fire, the agony of effort that seems to bring no reward, it is not because you are broken. It is because you are becoming. And there is no becoming without burning. I have seen with my own eyes the quiet torment behind every great achievement. The public sees the crown, but they never see the crucible. And yet the crucible is where the real man is formed. The crown is merely the consequence. Look no further than Henry Ford. There was a time when he was ridiculed, humiliated, dismissed as a fool who dared to chase a horseless carriage. Before he stood atop an empire of industry, he stood amidst mechanical wreckage, financial setbacks, and the laugh of doubters. They called his first automobile a joke. But it was no joke. It was a seed. And Ford did not judge the seed by the size of its first sprout. He knew that pain was not punishment. It was proof. Proof that he had entered the process that every builder must endure. And because he did not run from it, the world eventually ran to him. You see, pain is not the wall, it is the door. It is not the end, it is the invitation. And yet most men, when they feel its grip, believe they are being cast away. No, my friend, you are being called deeper, you are being refined. You are being stripped of what is shallow so that what is sacred may remain. The weak will always interpret pain as rejection, but the wise, those who have made a covenant with greatness, know that pain is the furnace where identity is forged. It is the honest mirror that reveals what cannot remain and what must rise. If you have ever cried out, "Why is this so hard?" know this. The hardness is your evidence. It means you are no longer walking with the crowd. You are walking toward the crown. It means you are not rehearsing dreams. You are building them. Every ache in your body, every tear behind your eyes, every restless night, it all speaks one message. You are in the process, and the process is holy. I have spoken with men who built nations, industries, and philosophies, and never once did they say it was easy. But every one of them, without exception, said this: "The pain changed me. The pain revealed me. And the pain gave me the power to endure far more than I once believed I could." Do not despise the struggle. Welcome it. Do not pray it away. Understand it. Do not run from it. Walk through it with the posture of a man who knows what is waiting on the other side. Your dream is not cheap, and it will not sell itself to the casual or the comfortable. It must be purchased in the currency of pain, not forever, but long enough to prove that your desire is not counterfeit. Pain brings clarity. It silences the noise of the unnecessary. When you are in pain, your distractions fall away, your excuses die, your heart speaks louder. That is why pain precedes purpose. It empties the vessel so it can be filled again with intention, with power, with meaning. You have been lied to by comfort. It whispered that you could coast into greatness. But greatness is not something you land in by luck. It is something you crawl through fire to reach. The furnace you feel now is not a tomb. It is a womb. You are not being buried. You are being born. Remember this the next time you are tempted to quit. Your pain is not your enemy. It is your evidence. It is the evidence that something sacred is taking shape. And if you walk away now, you do not spare yourself the pain, you forfeit the prize. You lose not because the process failed you, but because you misread the signs. You thought the ache meant leave, but it meant listen. You thought the resistance meant stop, but it meant step. You thought the silence meant you are forgotten, but it meant you are being formed. And so I ask you now, what will you do with your pain? Will you run back to ease, to comfort, to the prison of predictability? Or will you press forward, knowing that every flame that tries to consume you is actually shaping the steel within you? The greatest men I have known, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, Rockefeller, they were not born with their greatness. It was hammered into them by the blows of life. They bled, they broke, they wept, but they rose. Because they knew the truth that most ignore. Pain does not kill the worthy. It confirms them. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. So rise, not with complaint, but with conviction. Move, not with fear, but with fire. And say aloud, now and daily, until your soul obeys your spirit, this pain is not my enemy, it is my evidence. I am not being punished. I am being prepared. My tears are not signs of weakness. They are the ink of my transformation. I walk through this with eyes wide open and a heart unafraid. The crown I seek is on the other side of the fire, and I will pass through it. There is no greatness without groaning. There is no glory without grinding. And there is no victory without the valley. But if you can stand in your pain without shrinking, if you can move forward even while bleeding, if you can trust that this suffering is not your ending, but your elevation, then nothing, no man, no trial, no delay can stop you. Do not fear your pain. Embrace it. Let it break what is brittle and birth what is bold, for it is not here to end you. It is here to reveal you. Now walk. There is a voice that arrives just before greatness, one quieter than fear, more persistent than failure, and more familiar than the truth itself. It is the whisper of doubt, and unless you understand its nature, it will become your master. Doubt never shouts. It does not come in with chaos or calamity. No, it slips in dressed as reason, as logic, as protection. It will tell you to pause, to delay, to wait for a better time, to seek more proof. And if you listen, if you begin to entertain its voice, it will not stop until your dream is a corpse. You must know this. Doubt always precedes elevation. Not sometimes. Always. The moment a man steps toward his purpose, he will feel the pull of retreat. Not because he is weak, but because he is worthy. The closer you walk to your divine appointment, the more violently doubt will plead with you to turn back. It is the final guardian before the gate of greatness. Do not mistake its presence for a curse. Do not believe for 1 second that doubt's arrival means you are lost. Quite the opposite. It means you are near. It means the summit is closer than you imagined. It means the next door, the one that leads to your promotion, your calling, your transformation, is only one decision away. Consider Thomas Edison. Over 1,000 failures, 1,000 unanswered attempts, but never once did he allow doubt to have the final word. He did not quit after the 10th failure, or the 100th, or the 900th. He kept moving, kept adjusting, kept believing, because he did not consult doubt. He commanded it to silence. I asked him once how he endured so many defeats. He smiled and said, "I never failed." I simply discovered 1,000 ways that did not work. That is not the voice of fear. That is the voice of mastery. That is the man who has murdered doubt by sheer movement. That is the man who has placed obedience above outcome. Most men are not defeated by the world. They are defeated in the silent courtroom of their own minds. They wake with resolve and sleep with regret, not because the world was cruel, but because they allowed hesitation to become habit. They permitted the whisper to grow louder than their will. But understand this, doubt is not your enemy, not if you know how to handle it. Doubt is the bell that rings before the door opens. It is not meant to be obeyed, it is meant to be outrun. How then does one silence doubt? Not by arguing with it, not by bargaining with it, but by declaring war on it through decision. For doubt cannot survive in the presence of daily declarations. It dies where conviction lives. Speak your aim aloud, every morning, every night, with intensity, with clarity, with reverence. When you wake, declare, I decide, and doubt dies. When you prepare for your task, affirm, the voice of purpose speaks louder than the voice of fear. You must train your subconscious mind to respond not to feelings, but to commands. The man who commands his mind will never be a servant to his moods. This is why I have long taught the power of autosuggestion. It is not repetition for repetition's sake, it is reprogramming. The mind left untrained will default to fear, to survival, to shrinking. But the mind, properly trained, becomes a furnace, a forge, a fire that burns every lie that says you cannot. Each time you say I can, you pull a brick from the wall of doubt. Each time you act in spite of your hesitation, you build the bridge to your breakthrough. But it is not enough to speak once. It must become a ritual. Decision must become your first language. Doubt cannot cohabitate with discipline, and it certainly cannot coexist with movement. You were not designed to live in second guessing. You were formed in certainty. That is why doubt feels so unnatural, because it is not your native tongue. Have you ever noticed that the moment you commit, truly commit, the fear weakens? That is no accident. The spirit responds to certainty like a flame responds to oxygen. When you decide, heaven opens, provision appears, strength arrives, the clouds begin to part, not because the world has changed, but because you have changed your posture. You must stop waiting to feel ready. You must stop waiting for the doubt to pass. It will not. You must walk through it. You must teach your feet to move while your mind is unsure. That is how you dominate. That is how you rise. You are not cursed. You are not behind. You are on course. The doubt is simply the echo of your old self begging you to return. Do not heed it. Do not entertain it. Let it die in the silence of your progress. You are building something eternal, and eternal things always attract the temporary cry of resistance. Let me remind you of this truth. Faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the command to move in spite of it. You are not required to feel fearless. You are required to be faithful. And faith is not emotion. It is execution. Let today be the day you stop negotiating with your hesitation. Let today be the day you refuse to let the whisper win. Let today be the day your voice returns, your backbone strengthens, your vision stands upright once more. And let these declarations become your armor. I decide, and doubt dies. The voice of purpose speaks louder than the voice of fear. I do not consult weakness, I command strength. My future listens to my footsteps, not my feelings. Every step I take silences the voice that said I couldn't. Doubt is loud only when destiny is near and destiny is standing at my door. Let the others hesitate, let the crowd pause, let the average wait for the stars to align, but not you. You move, you decide, you break the spell of indecision. And when the doubt returns tomorrow, as it always does, you will be ready. You will meet it with a voice louder than its whisper, with feet swifter than its warning, with eyes fixed not on fear, but on fire. You were not made to doubt. You were made to dominate. Walk accordingly. The man who plants a dream and expects a harvest by nightfall is not a dreamer. He is a fool. He has misunderstood the divine law that governs every creation, that all growth begins in silence, in stillness, and in the sacred place of invisibility. The seed must go underground. It must disappear before it rises. And so must your vision. We live in an age not of too little ambition, but of too little patience. The modern man cannot endure silence, cannot abide obscurity, cannot withstand the necessary season where nothing seems to move, but everything is taking root. And so he digs up the seed he planted just days before, declaring that it was dead, that it did not work, that his effort was wasted. But he was not witnessing death, he was interrupting birth. Understand this once and for all. The most sacred season of your success is the season when nothing seems to happen. The invisible stage, the quiet months, the long days without applause, the hours spent building what no one else sees and no one else claps for, that is not failure, it is formation. That is not delay, it is design. And if you cannot endure that part of the process, you are not yet worthy of the prize. Do you suppose Andrew Carnegie stood atop steel empires the day after he wrote down his intentions? Do you believe that the great leaders of industry, influence, and innovation simply declared their aims and watched as the world obeyed them overnight? Carnegie's plans were born in silence. He sat with pen and paper and intention. He built in solitude. He envisioned in secret. He worked while others mocked and planted while others partied. And in time, not in haste, the harvest came. But only because he refused to dig up the seed to prove to others it was still alive. A great tragedy of the modern man is that he demands visible confirmation for invisible work. He wants instant validation, and when it does not come, he doubts his worth. But hear me clearly. Just because the world does not clap does not mean heaven is not watching. Just because your peers do not understand does not mean providence has not assigned you. You must learn to love the soil. You must learn to trust the quiet. The dream that cannot withstand silence is not yet strong enough for celebration. The seed must be buried before it rises. That is the law. Not one man can escape it, not even you. You must plant your dream beneath layers of routine, of sacrifice, of sweat, of solitude, and you must leave it there, not abandoned, but protected, not forgotten, but believed in. You must show up day after day, not to uproot, but to water, not to question, but to tend. For it is the quiet man who becomes the loudest victor. But let me make something clear. Patience is not passivity. Waiting is not weakness. To sit in silence and still believe, to move without applause, to labor in obscurity with the faith of a man who has already won, that is power of the highest form. That is mastery. That is the steel spine of the man who becomes legendary. If you require the world's permission to believe, you will never be more than what the world allows. But if you can labor while unseen, if you can declare the dream even while others sleep, if you can praise the process while the fruit is still buried, you will unlock a strength that the impatient man will never taste. And so I ask you, what seed have you planted? And more importantly, are you willing to guard it through the drought? Are you willing to suffer the silence, to tend the field even when all you see is dirt and dust and delay? Your dream is not dead, it is developing. Your vision is not forgotten, it is being fortified. Your promise is not postponed, it is being prepared. But only if you stay long enough to see it rise. Only if you stop measuring success by public confirmation and begin measuring it by private obedience. The seed was never about speed, it was about surrender. The surrender of your timeline, the surrender of your need to be seen, the surrender of your addiction to praise, and the full embrace of the law of growth. I have seen many men abandon the field 1 week before the sprout. I have watched builders turn away, declaring it was over, not realizing that one more act of belief, one more morning of movement, one more week of watering would have ushered in the harvest. But they left, they quit, and they buried their own destiny. You will not be one of them. No, you will water your seed daily. You will show up in faith, in discipline, in patience. You will stop asking when the harvest comes and begin asking who you must become so that when it arrives, you are worthy to gather it. And so I charge you, wake each day and say to yourself, though I see no fruit, I am not forgotten. Declare with boldness, though the field is quiet, I am fully engaged. Speak as a man convinced, not by sight, but by spirit. Let these affirmations become your root system, deep beneath the surface of daily motion. My harvest is certain, though hidden today. I tend the field, not for applause, but for assignment. Silence is not stillness, it is structure forming. I grow daily, even when no one sees the gain. I am the man who waters with belief until breakthrough comes. Let the others rush. Let them dig up their seeds and declare it didn't work. Let them abandon the process and mock the silence. You will not. You will plant. You will water. You will speak life. You will endure the stillness, and one day, sooner than you think, the ground will break. And the world that ignored you will watch in awe as the fruit appears. But it will not be sudden. It will not be magic. It will be earned. And you will know the truth they missed, that no one sees the seed until it breaks ground. But that ground was only broken because one man refused to stop watering. Be that man. Every man on a great journey will be tempted to turn back. The temptation will not always come in the form of fear or open failure. More often it will arrive wearing the garments of reason, dressed in the language of safety disguised as wisdom. It will come as a friend's voice saying, "You've done enough." It will echo as your own mind suggesting, "You deserve rest." And if you are not rooted in conviction, that false voice will sound holy, and you will follow it straight into mediocrity. Make no mistake, the world will offer you an exit, not once, not twice, but at every point where your movement begins to stretch the limits of what is considered normal. The exit will not present itself as failure. It will appear noble. It will come bearing names like balance, stability, comfort, and even protection. But do not be deceived. The exit is not there to preserve you. It is there to prevent you. It is not a detour. It is a burial ground. The dreams of millions are rotting beneath the paved road of good reasons, and those who walk it seldom return with fire in their bones. Charles Schwab had every reason to leave. When competitors waved greater salaries and softer obligations in front of him, he could have rationalized the move. But Schwab stayed with Carnegie, not because it was easier, but because it was right. He did not chase the nearest comfort. He did not allow convenience to dictate his loyalty. He understood what the small man forgets, that destiny does not bend for the man who flees at the first invitation to exit. You will be offered the same exit. It may not look like Schwab's, but it will call you all the same. It may appear as another job, a safer dream, a slightly easier version of your vision that asks you to compromise just a little. Or worse, it may ask nothing of you but to stop, to pause, to reconsider and recover and wait until things feel perfect again. But you must see the lie dressed as relief and call it what it is, a thief in disguise. Do not misunderstand me. I'm not telling you to blindly push past true exhaustion. I am not advising recklessness or the kind of ambition that destroys families and ruins health. But I am warning you against a far more common sickness, the slow death of conviction through chronic compromise. The man who exits early and calls it balance is not balanced, he is broken. The man who folds because the tension was high and declares it wisdom has not been wise. He has been weakened by doubt, dressed in reason. There is a moment in every journey when quitting looks sacred. Do not trust it. In that moment, you must return to your creed, to the vow you made when your dream first caught fire. Because when you started, it was not logic that moved you, it was fire. It was urgency. It was a knowing deep in your chest that what you were born for would not be found on the path of ease. You knew it then. And now, as the pressure builds and the voices grow louder, you must remember. You do not need comfort, you need conviction. Comfort will ask you to stay small. Conviction will demand you rise. Comfort will suggest delay. Conviction will shout now. Comfort will show you every possible exit. Conviction will close the doors and set your face like flint toward the call. And here is the great truth. The moment you reject the exit, the world begins to obey you. It is not the man who contemplates quitting that wins obedience from life. It is the man who finishes what he starts. The earth respects resilience. It opens its gates not to the curious, but to the committed. And commitment is proven not when things are easy, but when every fiber in you wants to turn around and you walk anyway. So how do you overcome the temptation to quit? First, expose it. Name the exit for what it is. Say aloud the lies it offers. If I stop now, I'll protect my peace. If I walk away, I'll be safer. If I take the easier road, I can always return later. Say it aloud. Hear the cowardice in it. Then ask yourself, what will quitting cost me? Not in time, not in money, but in self-trust, in dignity, in the example I set for those watching me, my children, my peers, my future self. Second, install a ritual of recommitment. Before every hard task, speak your creed. Write one sentence that will carry you through the storm. It need not be long, it must only be true. Something like, I was not made to pause, or I complete what heaven assigns. Speak it aloud when the road grows heavy. Speak it when the exit looks holy. Speak it until your body obeys. Third, remember the long game. The world today is addicted to fast reward, but fast reward builds shallow men. Greatness takes time. It takes repetition. It takes finishing. And finishing takes endurance, especially in the seasons where every voice says you have done enough, but you haven't. Not until the work is complete. Not until your soul says it is done. This message is not for the comfortable. It is for the weary, for the builder who is 10 bricks deep and already feels the weight, for the man who once believed fiercely, but now stares at an exit door and wonders if he was ever meant for this. And to him I say this, do not walk through that exit. Do not take the trap. Do not hand over your crown for a moment of false relief. Finish what you start. Burn the bridge back to average and walk forward, not in emotion, but in decision. The world will always offer you an exit. Hell will always whisper, it's too much. And fear will always raise its voice the moment you begin to advance. But you are not called to listen. You are called to lead. And leaders finish. They finish in silence. They finish when misunderstood. They finish while doubted. They finish even when no finish line is visible, because they know the finish line appears for the man who walks like he is already crowned. So declare it now. I see the lie dressed as relief, and I reject it. I finish what I start. Say it until every cell in your body obeys, until the exit no longer calls your name, until the doors of destiny open not because they welcomed you, but because they feared being broken down. Walk. Don't pause. Don't beg. Don't wait for applause. Don't scan for escape. Walk because the crown is waiting, and it never lands on the man who left early. You once stood before your dream with the fire of desire in your chest and said, I want to be great. You may not have spoken those words aloud, but your heart uttered them in silence. You imagined a life of significance, a life where your name meant something, where your work echoed beyond the years, where the world bent slightly because you dared to walk through it boldly. You dreamed of rising above the noise, the average, the temporary, to build something eternal, to become someone unshakable. And now the battle has come. The pressure has risen. The weight presses on your chest and asks you, do you still want it? And you are tempted to say no, not because you no longer desire greatness, but because you didn't expect this. You asked for strength, but you didn't expect to be stretched. You asked for mastery, but you didn't expect to be stripped. You asked for purpose, but you didn't expect to bleed. Let me speak to you plainly, as one who has studied the invisible laws that govern destiny. This battle is not punishment. It is process. It is the curriculum of greatness. It is the unseen agreement that every man of destiny must sign in blood. You cannot rise without resistance. You cannot build without breaking. You cannot wear the crown without carrying the cross that forged it. The trials you face are not obstacles. They are confirmations. You are being tested not because you are failing, but because you are being forged. Roosevelt, the man whose leadership steeled a nation, spent much of his youth battling physical pain that would have crippled a lesser man's spirit. Yet it was precisely that affliction that formed his tenacity. He did not merely survive illness, he turned it into internal fire. The man who could not breathe easily learned to lead men with force. His body may have struggled, but his spirit became a fortress. And that spirit was not born in ease, it was born in affliction. Consider Lincoln. Few men in history have walked with such public burden and such private sorrow. He battled depression like a ghost that followed him through every decision, every speech, every day in office, and yet it was that deep well of pain that gave his words weight. That inner suffering gave him empathy. His trials did not disqualify him. They qualified him. They deepened his soul, refined his vision, and made him a vessel that could carry the agony of a divided nation. Barnes waited. Years passed before Edison truly saw him. He began in the corner of a dusty shop, invisible to most, known only to his own will. And yet he stayed, because he knew something most never learn. Delay does not mean denial. Waiting does not mean wasting. He saw the delay not as a detour, but as his development. His readiness was not proven in success. It was proven in persistence. Now you are in a battle. You feel it. The fatigue, the doubt, the repeated whispers that maybe you were not built for this, that maybe the road you chose was too high, too narrow, too long. But I ask you, did you not pray for greatness? Did you not ask to be set apart? Did you not say you wanted to rise above? Then why, when the training arrives, do you treat it as torture? This moment, the one that feels like the end, is the very answer to your beginning. You asked for glory, and heaven responded with the gymnasium of difficulty. You asked to be exceptional, and life gave you the curriculum that breaks ordinary men. What if this battle is not blocking your dream, but building you into the only man capable of holding it? The modern world lies to you. It tells you that discomfort is to be avoided, that pain is proof of a wrong path, that success must come swiftly or it is not worth chasing. But the truth is more ancient. The truth is sacred. And the truth is this: the man who stays in the fire long enough to be forged becomes the one who rules it. The dream you seek is heavy. And so the muscles of your mind, your emotions, your identity must be strengthened before you carry it. Stop asking for the fire to stop. Start asking to be made fireproof. Stop praying for the trial to end. Start declaring that you will outlast it, and stop looking for the door out. Look instead for the door through. The test you face is not in your way, it is your way. It is the chisel in the hand of destiny, carving out the cowardice, the confusion, the compromise that you didn't even know was still in you. It is cutting off what must die so that what must reign can rise. You say you want to lead, but can you lead yourself through this storm? You say you want to influence others, but can you influence your own mind not to run? Do not flee from the hardship. Welcome it, because it is not your enemy. It is your evidence that something great has been placed within you, and life is now demanding a matching man to carry it. And let me say this clearly: you do not endure this moment for yourself alone. There is someone on the other side of your obedience, someone who will need your story, your example, your scars. If you quit now, their torch goes out with yours. You are not just carrying your vision. You are carrying a legacy, a lineage, a light. Every moment you continue, you train the spirit of the man you are becoming. Every decision to stay in the fight, even when it feels useless, is recorded in the invisible records of the universe. The world may not see it yet, but heaven does, and heaven rewards finishers, not starters. Now is not the time to retreat. It is the time to remember. Why did you start? Who are you becoming? What throne did you see in your spirit before the trials began? If you can recall the vision, you can endure the valley. Write it down, your creed, your reason, your unshakable vow. I walk through fire because I asked to be forged. My test is my training. Say it until your nerves believe it, until your spine straightens, until your feet take one more step when your mind says stop. You may not feel strong. That is irrelevant. Strength is not a feeling. It is a choice made in defiance of the storm. You may not feel ready. But no man is ever ready for greatness. He becomes ready by choosing not to run. So now, in this moment, while everything in you may ache to flee, to pause, to weep, to wait, I say this: stand, stay, move. Let the fire do its work. Let the pain shape you. Let the battle brand you. Because this moment is not here to break you. It is here to build you. And the man who does not quit today becomes the king no man can stop tomorrow. There are moments in a man's life when he comes face to face with the truth that he is not yet the man he thought he was. These moments rarely arrive when skies are clear and applause is loud. No, they arrive when the storm rises, when the light is gone, when the crowd has scattered and only silence remains. And in that silence, a voice speaks, not the voice of the world, not even the voice of circumstance. It is the voice of self. It is the whisper that says, now we will see who you really are. Understand this. Identity is not shaped in comfort. Identity is not formed in days of ease. No man has ever become who he was born to be in seasons where everything went according to plan. Identity is the residue of decision. It is the after effect of choice made in the furnace of adversity. Easy seasons may reward you, but they will not refine you. Only difficulty possesses the authority to sculpt your name into the eternal. Look at any great man in history, and you will not find his story of strength written in celebration, but in challenge. Henry Ford was not shaped when the Model T conquered the market. He was forged when he was laughed at, bankrupted, and ridiculed. He was mocked for defying the horse, dismissed for imagining machines that ordinary men declared impossible. But he walked forward anyway. The public did not believe in him, but his identity was not for sale. He walked in the name of vision, not validation. That is the secret every builder must learn. You are either becoming a man who folds or a man who finishes. And that decision is made not in speeches, not in intentions, but in the cold mornings where you rise without praise, in the nights where failure looms larger than faith, in the seasons where the world offers you every excuse to quit, and you whisper to yourself, not today. You may think identity is a gift handed down from birth or environment, but that is a lie dressed in elegance. Identity is chosen. It is declared. It is built, not found, and it is built in the hours no one sees. Every time you speak who you are, especially when life tries to contradict it, you etch it deeper into your soul. If you are silent when pressure comes, the world will define you. But if you speak, the storm must submit. Every man has within him the right to declare himself. This right is not reserved for the rich, the noble, or the famous. It belongs to the decided. Say it with me now. I am not my past. You must repeat it not once, but daily. I am not my pain. The body may be weary. The emotions may tremble. But your declaration of self must remain firm. The soul must speak what the body doubts until the body obeys. Your pain does not have permission to name you unless you surrender your voice. The names you accept are the names that shape your life. Are you tired? Then declare, I am endurance in motion. Are you doubting? Then declare, I am faith on fire. Are you lost? Then declare, I am the man who finds his path by walking through the storm. The world will tell you that affirmations are weak. Let them mock. The ones who mock the loudest are often those who have surrendered silently. Ford, Edison, Lincoln, none of these men were crowned because of comfort. They were crowned because they refused to be renamed by resistance. Edison was not known for his failures, though he had thousands. He is remembered because he would not stop until his vision became visible. Not one of his inventions ever birthed itself in ease. He forged his name through repetition, through ridicule, through relentless motion. Identity is not a moment, it is a muscle, and muscles are not formed by thought, but by resistance. Each time you face the hard thing and refuse to run, you become stronger, not only in body, but in name. Each time you move when motivation is absent, you deepen your spiritual footprint on the earth. You begin to walk as one whose roots cannot be shaken. That is what the world fears. Not the man who tries once, but the man who keeps rising, the man who refuses to fold, the man who will not be renamed by circumstance. Let me give you now the 5 affirmations that must become your armor, your sword, your shield. These are not words to entertain, they are words to become. I am the man who keeps going when others sit down. I am the voice of decision in the face of doubt. I am not shaped by ease, I am revealed by endurance. I am fire dressed as flesh, unyielding, unbreaking, unafraid. I am the author of my name, and today I write in bold. Say them aloud, every morning, every night. Every moment resistance tries to rename you. Do not think you can whisper your identity and expect the world to bow. Speak it with fire, with conviction, with the finality of one who has already seen the crown and decided he will wear it. This part of your journey, the one that feels most unclear, is the very proving ground of who you will become. You do not need more signs. You do not need more certainty. You need one thing, to declare who you are until your life has no choice but to agree. Let others quit. Let others break. Let others negotiate with difficulty. You are not others. You are becoming a man the world has not yet seen. Not because you are better, but because you are obedient to the fire, to the assignment, to the identity written in your spirit before the world handed you fear. Walk now as if your name is sacred, because it is. There is a quiet deception that infects the spirit of many men, not in the form of sin, not in the form of evil intent, but in the form of hesitation. It is the soft, subtle voice that says, wait just a little longer. Think it through again. Make sure you're ready. And while it sounds like wisdom, it is cowardice wearing a mask. The world is not waiting for the man who contemplates forever. It is already opening doors for the one who moves. For the law of life is this: heaven does not promote the undecided. You may think your dream is delayed because of timing. You may believe the opportunity is not yet ripe, or the right people have not yet arrived. But I offer you this: the delay may not be in the dream, it may be in your decision. Your destiny is not stagnant. It is waiting for your movement. You have not been denied. You have merely been undecided. And until you settle in your soul who you are, what you are called to do, and what you will not retreat from, heaven cannot entrust you with the weight of the crown you say you want. Faith, my friend, is not passive. It does not lounge in comfort, waiting for conditions to align. Faith does not make excuses or wait for applause. Faith moves, it declares, it builds. It walks through darkness with a torch lit only by inner conviction. You cannot say you believe and yet wait to act. Belief is not belief until it puts on shoes and takes the hill. Do not tell the world what you hope to be. Show the world by what you move toward without needing permission. Consider the story of Edwin C. Barnes. He did not ask Edison if there were openings. He did not send letters inquiring about positions. He did not pause to evaluate logistics or consult the opinions of cautious men. He made a decision in the silence of his soul, and he backed that decision with motion. He boarded a freight train with no invitation, no money, and no fallback plan. He entered Edison's life not as a beggar, but as a partner in spirit. Edison did not yet know it. The world did not yet believe it. But Barnes had decided, and that decision commanded destiny to obey. You may wonder why Barnes succeeded while others with more talent failed. It was not skill. It was not luck. It was decision. And that decision, once made, was never revisited. He burned the option to retreat. He burned the idea of reconsideration. And because of that, life eventually bowed. That is the lesson. The man who moves without wavering becomes the man who receives without delay. There is a law I have taught and lived by, a law that never fails. Act now, adjust later. Most men wait to act until the plan is perfect, but in doing so, they lose the advantage of motion. Let me say this plainly. Motion is sacred. The man who moves, even with a crude plan, accomplishes more than the man who perfects and pauses. God does not bless the perfect. He blesses the obedient, the committed, the bold. Let me now teach you the practice that separates the men who drift from the men who dominate. It is the power of the definite chief aim. This is not a wish. It is not a vague hope. It is a written decree of destiny. It is your spiritual assignment put into words, and when declared daily, believed deeply, and acted upon without delay, it becomes the blueprint that builds your future with terrifying speed. To create it, ask yourself 3 questions. What do I want? Who must I become to receive it? And what am I willing to sacrifice to attain it? The answers to these questions must be written clearly, spoken aloud daily, and engraved into your schedule with discipline. This aim is not negotiable. It is not to be edited according to emotion. It is the North Star, and you are to walk toward it, through storm, through fire, through silence. Write your definite chief aim on a card. Carry it with you at all times. Recite it upon rising and before retiring. Do not allow a day to pass without reinforcing your identity to your subconscious mind, for your subconscious does not obey what you think. It obeys what you repeat. Speak it until your soul believes it. Move toward it until the world must honor it. And never ask again if you're on the right path. The path will unfold as your motion demands. And when doubt arises, and it will, remember this. You do not owe doubt an explanation. You owe your destiny a decision. When hesitation knocks, do not answer with logic. Answer with movement. The world does not yield to the hesitant. It yields to the decisive. The man who makes up his mind without delay, who burns every exit, and who walks with finality becomes a magnet for favor, for allies, for unseen help. Say these words aloud now and let them mark your soul. I'm the type of person who is decisive. I'm the type of person who is decisive. You do not revisit a decision made in the fire of clarity. You reinforce it. You act on it. You let every step shout your commitment. That is how the world knows you mean it. That is how heaven knows you are ready. Let others pause. Let others seek permission. You are not others. You are the man who moved while they pondered. You are the man who built while they dreamed. You are the man who declared when others debated. And that, my friend, is why you will not be denied. The greatest lies in a man's life are not shouted from the outside. They are whispered from within during the hour of panic. Fear speaks loudest when a man is closest to destiny, not furthest from it. It clouds the mind, rattles the breath, stirs the heart into confusion, and replaces vision with noise. But here lies the truth few are willing to accept. Panic is not a condition to obey, it is a signal to seek stillness. For truth, unlike fear, does not shout. It whispers. And if your life is too loud, you will not hear it. When you find yourself overwhelmed, it is not always because the task is too large. Often, it is because the noise has grown louder than your center. The hurried mind becomes a blind man in a dark room, bumping into walls and calling it failure. Yet the man who silences the noise within, who takes time each day to retreat into reflection, becomes a giant, even if no one sees his movement. The storm is not your enemy, but reacting wildly to it, without structure, without stillness, will cause you to shipwreck just steps from the shore. There is a sacred discipline, one lost in this modern era of urgency and constant motion. It is the discipline of stillness. To rise before the sun, to sit in the quiet chamber of your thoughts, to journal your intentions and reaffirm your aim, not with urgency, but with certainty. This is where purpose strengthens its voice. This is where panic is tamed, not by force, but by truth. You do not overcome fear by matching its volume. You overcome it by raising your clarity. Let us take example from Elbert Hubbard, a man often misremembered only for a few quotes or a single essay. But look deeper. Hubbard's genius was not rooted in flashes of brilliance. It was rooted in structure, in sacred repetition. Each morning, before he penned a single word, Hubbard walked alone. He called it mental house cleaning. He would not meet the world until he first met his own thoughts. He wrote letters to himself, affirming his beliefs, correcting his course, and stripping from his spirit anything that did not align with his definite chief aim. He built an empire of influence not by frenzy, but by stillness. Or consider Manuel El Quezon, who did not lead with noise, but with a calm forged in solitude. He made it a practice every week to retreat into the quiet hills surrounding his city. He walked in silence, not to escape responsibility, but to strengthen the resolve beneath it. It was in those hills that he heard the truth no shouting crowd could give him, that freedom is not begged for, it is claimed, first within. That calm, unshaken by empire, unbent by threat, is what birthed a nation's dignity. Stillness, you see, is not weakness. It is strategy. The man who rises and reacts without thought is a slave to circumstance. But the man who pauses, listens, writes, reflects, he becomes master over every storm. You do not solve panic by sprinting faster. You solve it by anchoring deeper. You slow, not to quit, but to command. Here is your ritual, and it must be sacred. Each morning before the world touches you, sit in stillness. 5 minutes to breathe. 5 more to write your definite chief aim. Another 5 to speak it aloud. Not to impress, but to impress upon your spirit the man you are becoming. Let no conversation, no headline, no demand steal this moment. For if you miss your voice in the morning, you will be governed by 1,000 other voices by noon. Then at midday, pause again. Not long, just 3 minutes. Reflect on your motion. Ask, am I walking toward the crown or wandering through the crowd? This is not weakness. It is strength refined by rhythm. And when the evening comes, close the day as you began it, in stillness. Review your decisions. Write down what you won, what you learned, and what you will not repeat. This, my friend, is not meditation. It is warfare of the highest order. For no man rules the outer world who does not first govern the inner one. I will say this again so that your spirit remembers. Fear is loud, truth is still, and if your life is too full of sound, you will forget what you once vowed in silence. You cannot hear the call of your higher self if you never mute the world below. Stillness is the sanctuary where faith is strengthened and direction is restored. It is the meeting place between who you were and who you are called to be. So when you feel overwhelmed, do not flee the battlefield. Do not abandon the dream. Do not confuse pressure with punishment. Instead, go into the chamber. Light the candle of clarity and write, speak, sit, listen. Move not in panic, but in purpose. Let your actions not be explosions, but executions. You are not required to be loud. You are required to be aligned. Now say these declarations aloud, not to impress, but to impress upon the only soil that matters, the subconscious mind. I obey the whisper, not the world. Stillness is not weakness. It is my strategy. I slow down, not to stop, but to strike with precision. I retreat, not to run, but to rise. I am not a servant of chaos. I am a commander of calm. These are not just words. They are weapons. Use them when the pressure mounts. Use them when confusion creeps in. Use them when the world tells you to hurry and your soul tells you to hold. The man who finds truth in stillness cannot be shaken by noise, and the man who commands his morning cannot be conquered by his day. You believe you are being broken, but you are being built. You feel like you are being punished, but you are being purified. This is the great deception of growth. It often looks like loss. Most men quit, not because they lack the strength to continue, but because they mistake progress for punishment. They misread the fire as failure. But the fire is not sent to destroy the man. It is sent to divide him, separating what is no longer worthy of his next chapter from the gold of what is meant to remain. When the blacksmith places iron into the furnace, he is not angry at it. He is not seeking its destruction. He seeks its usefulness. He subjects it to flame not out of cruelty, but out of purpose. He knows the fire will remove what does not belong. It will expose weakness, reveal air pockets, and make way for the strength hidden beneath the surface. You are that iron. This moment, this pressure, this pain, this stretch is not your enemy. It is your elevation in disguise. The fire, my friend, is not against you. It is your ally. But only the man who stays long enough in the furnace discovers this truth. Many run before refinement. Many flee the discomfort before destiny has had time to rearrange them. And so they repeat the cycle, again and again. Running from the heat, they run from their strength. And so they remain soft, malleable, shapeless, forgettable. The law of necessary adversity cannot be broken, for it is the law by which character is proved. Do not mistake ease for progress. The man who grows is not the one who avoids hardship. It is the one who learns to greet it like an old companion. Adversity comes not to taunt you, but to tutor you. And if you are wise, you will not pray it away. You will invite it to finish its work. Look at the lives of the greatest men to walk the earth. Carnegie did not ascend to industrial royalty without ridicule, bankruptcy, and betrayal. Ford did not become a titan by avoiding criticism, but by outlasting it. Kazan did not liberate a nation because the path was clear, but because his will was forged in a fire of political resistance and imperial doubt. And Edison, the man mocked as a fool for failing again and again, he smiled into the furnace and declared, "I have not failed. I have simply found 1,000 ways that do not work. That is not failure. That is forging. Now let us speak plainly of poverty. Do not despise it. Do not curse the days when you had little, for they were your university. There is a knowledge that only lack can teach. A man who has been poor and risen is not only wealthier in material, but in will, in discipline, in perception. Poverty humbles the proud and sharpens the hungry. It reveals the man who can govern riches, because he has already learned to govern lack. You do not grow by running from poverty. You grow by learning to rule yourself within it. There was a time not long ago when I stood at the very door of despair. I knew what it meant to watch opportunity slip through my hands like dust. I knew what it meant to labor and receive no applause, to build while being ridiculed, to believe when the evidence was invisible. And I knew the temptation to say, maybe I am not the man for this task. But I chose instead to say, perhaps this task is the very means by which I will become the man. That choice changed everything. You must make that choice now. You must understand the sacredness of this season. Review your path. Has it not made you more aware, more focused, more grounded? You do not weep because you are weak. You weep because the shell is cracking. You do not tremble because you are finished. You tremble because the old man is being stripped away. Here is your ritual, and it must be done with reverence. Each week, take 10 minutes, no less. Sit in solitude with nothing but your journal and your memory. Look back, not at what you lost, but at who you became. Write down the moments you wanted to quit, but didn't. Write down the doors that were closed and what they forced you to build on your own. Write the names of those who doubted you and what it taught you about your own belief. This is not nostalgia, it is necessary reflection. Then write down 3 sentences. What pain has taught me is, the strength I carry now that I didn't before is, the man I am becoming is. Do this weekly, not once, not occasionally, each week. For the man who forgets his growth will doubt his progress. And doubt, as we know, is the gateway to defeat. Now speak these affirmations aloud, not as suggestion, but as declaration. I am not in ruins, I am in refinement. This pressure is not punishment, it is promotion. Every scar is sacred. Every loss is a lesson. I walk stronger because I have walked through fire. I am not failing, I am being forged. Let these words enter your bloodstream. Let them silence the lies. Let them resurrect the faith that once walked freely in your chest. And now I leave you with this reminder. The man who emerges from the furnace does not apologize for the heat. He honors it, for it made him. It exposed what was hollow. It revealed what was holy. And when he walks into the room, he does not need to announce himself. The strength in his silence speaks volumes. You are that man. You are not being punished. You are being proven. There is a moment, subtle and fleeting in every day, when a man allows a thought to enter his mind unchecked. It is not always loud. It does not always announce itself. It might arrive in a whisper. You're not ready, or this won't work, or you've failed too many times. And if you are not watchful, if you are not on guard, it will take root. And what takes root in the mind begins to shape the man. This exercise is not optional. It is your duty. For a man cannot become great if he does not master the territory between his ears. The battlefield is not out there, it is here. And the enemy wears your own voice. Here is what you must do. Step 1, catch the negative thought. Do not let it slip past. Step 2, write it down. Step 3, replace it with a deliberate, life-giving thought, and write that in detail. Step 4, speak the new thought aloud 3 times. Step 5, act as if the new thought is already true. Let me give you 3 examples, that you may see the process clearly and adopt it as your own. Example 1, you catch yourself thinking, I'm not ready. I don't have the experience others have. That thought, if left alone, will drain your spirit, slow your feet, and silence your potential. Now arrest it. Do not argue with it. Replace it. New thought. I may not have their experience, but I have my fire. And fire, when focused, melts barriers. Every expert was once a beginner, but not every beginner had my hunger. I am not behind. I am right on time, because I move with purpose, not permission. Then say aloud, I am more ready than I've ever been. I do not need experience, I need movement. I move forward because my calling has already begun. Write it, repeat it, move as if it were already confirmed by the world. Example 2, you catch yourself thinking, it's too late for me, I've wasted too many years. This is a lie disguised as logic, and it has no place in the mind of a builder. Replace it immediately. New thought. The years I walked without clarity were not wasted. They were preparation. Now that I have sight, I will move twice as fast, twice as focused. Some men drift for decades and never awaken. But I am awake now, and an awakened man can build in 1 year what others fail to build in 10. Say aloud, I am not behind, I am positioned. My delay was my development. This year will redeem the last 10. Then act like it. Begin now. Example 3. You catch yourself thinking, no one believes in me. This thought will shrink your voice and weaken your step. If you let it, do not replace it with fire. New thought. They may not believe in me because they have not seen what I've seen. My vision was not given to them, it was given to me. And it is not their belief that fuels me, it is my own. I move not by applause, but by assignment. The world has never crowned a man who waited for consensus. Say aloud, I believe in what I was called to do. My faith is louder than their silence. I walk because I was chosen, not by them, but by destiny. And now, move. Building decide. Keep a small notebook or card in your pocket. Every time a negative thought rises, catch it, replace it, and write both down. Call this your refinement ledger. Review it weekly. You are not weak because the thought appeared. You are strong because you replaced it. A man's power is not in his perfection. It is in his decision to interrupt his own destruction. Repeat this exercise for 21 days. At the end, you will not recognize the man who once believed those lies, because that man will be gone, and the man who remains cannot be stopped. There is a man walking among us. You will not find his statue in the town square. His name may not be listed in school books or carved into granite, but his life was written into the ledger of heaven. He is not famous because he shouted. He did not draw attention through theatrics or thunder. No, he built, quietly, steadily. While others complained, he completed. While others turned back, he pressed on. And while others waited for the applause of men, he listened only to the fire inside his spirit and obeyed. This man felt everything you have felt. He knew fatigue. He knew fear. He doubted his path in the silence of night and questioned his worth when progress moved slow. There were days he was unseen, days he worked without reward, days he bled in places no one would ever praise, but still he did not stop. He did not wait for perfect energy or perfect clarity or perfect timing. He did not say, let me rest first, or let me wait for the world to notice. He moved because movement was his mission. He endured not because he was void of pain, but because he had decided that pain would not void his promise. He remembered why he began. He remembered the fire that woke him when others slept. He remembered the vow he made to himself in secret, the oath that no man heard but that heaven recorded. And in the darkest hour, when quitting wore the disguise of wisdom and escape was dressed as relief, he stood still, breathed deep, and said silently, no, not this time. Not this battle, not this dream. I will not bury what was planted in me simply because the world has not yet clapped. I will finish what I began, even if I must crawl to the line, even if no one watches, even if no one understands. His strength was not born of talent. It was born of refusal. He refused to hand his life over to fatigue. He refused to make quitting acceptable. He refused to let fear sing the final note. Instead, he chose silence and endurance. He chose commitment in secret over comfort in the crowd. He chose to rise without a cheer and to lead without a crown. He kept going. When others called it madness, he kept going. When his results were invisible, he kept going. When the finish line moved further away, he moved faster. He wasn't faster because he was stronger. He was stronger because he never stopped. And in the end, his life became the evidence of what happens when a man chooses conviction over convenience. That man is the mirror. That man is the blueprint. That man is you, if you decide. You are not what you feel. You are not the sum of your delays or detours. You are not the hesitation that once held you hostage. You are the man who did not quit or who no longer will. And that decision, once made in finality, rewrites your story in every direction. It makes history bend. It makes weakness flee. It makes destiny stand at attention. But let me speak to you plainly now. This is not poetry. This is war. And if you wish to win, you must do what the man in this story did. Keep going. Keep building. Keep waking up before comfort arrives. Keep speaking to your doubt until it surrenders. Keep declaring your aim aloud until the ground you walk bends in your favor. Keep writing, keep calling, keep hammering your name into the walls of this world until even silence speaks it with reverence. You say you are tired? Then walk slowly, but do not stop. You say you are uncertain? Then declare faith until it becomes fact. You say the world has overlooked you? Good. Let your greatness be built in quiet, so that when it speaks, no man will be able to silence it. And when the whisper comes, just wait, turn back, it doesn't matter. Remember this, the man who did not quit heard the same words, but he didn't listen. He walked past them, and they never followed him again. This speech is not meant to motivate, it is meant to resurrect. And if something in you has been sleeping, some vision, some fire, some battle you abandoned long ago, it is time to rise, to return, to reclaim. You are the man who did not quit, and because of that, the crown is already yours. Repeat this message daily if you must. Speak it aloud. Walk it out. Build from it. Let the man you become be the answer to every doubt that ever whispered against you.